Hello, and good morning. Welcome to today's training from a beautiful summery New Zealand. If you are in the Northern Hemisphere and you are in the deepest, darkest winter, that I'm going to send some sunshine and warmth your way. Now, also excuse the wind. There's a little bit of breeze in the air, but I really want to run the training outside because I've got a little bit more space and we can do more movements that I can do inside my studio. So what is today's training about? We are going to learn some Mace squat variations. Now, the one thing that I love about the steel mace the most is the ability to combine lower body movements like the squat with a lot of core and upper body movements, because normally when you just go to the gym and you do weightlifting, you can kind of do squat and press maybe, but you predominantly just loading kind of one muscle group at a time. With the mace, you can literally hit every single muscle in your body just with one movement. Okay, so today I'm going to teach you 4 mace squat variations. We're going to start from the very simplest, and if mace training is new to you, then please do start with the simplest. Okay, you need to learn how to walk before you start running. Okay. Hello, Gretel. So nice to see you. Good morning. I hope you've got a lovely, sunny, gorgeous morning in Australia as well. It's already pretty hot in here. It's amazing. Thank you for joining me live. That's amazing. If you are joining me live, just let me know who you are, okay? And maybe where you're joining me from. I know that Gretel is in Australia. So I'm going to teach you 4 different mace squat variations. So we're going to start from the most basic mace squat. Then we're going to go into a switch squat, and then I'm going to teach you a bayonet squat and then a flag squat. Okay. Now, all these 4 squats are inside my Warrior Woman program, just to let you know. Okay, and more. So I think we should run through a bodyweight squat first as well, just to make sure that you have the technique completely down packed. I'm just going to make sure that you can see me really well. It's glary here today. Right. Okay. So bodyweight squat first. How I coach the squat is that you want your feet a little bit more than hip width apart, and you want your feet also to point slightly outwards. You don't want them to be kind of pointing straight ahead. The reason for that being that when you go down in a squat, your knees are going to naturally open and they need to be tracking the toes. Otherwise, you're creating this kind of weird loading into the knees, okay? Where I see most people make a mistake with the squat is that they are squatting here, so their knees are over their toes. Where you really need to squat, you need to load the posterior chain. So the muscle that's working the hardest should be your glutes. The way you engage your glutes is you're kind of trying to turn your feet outwards inside your shoes. As soon as you do that, you should feel your butt cheeks kind of squeezing together. You need to keep the squeeze going while you squat kind of backwards, yeah? So I'm not here, I am here. The golden standard for squat is thigh parallel to the ground. You don't really need to go any deeper unless you're doing mobility work and you're working on your deep squat and the kind of the final range in your hips, okay? So remember, you're squatting back and you need to feel the glutes. If you are one of those people that feels the glutes and that at certain point you don't feel them anymore, they disengage, that's your range. Don't go any deeper, okay? Because then you're perhaps loading the knees and you're not really kind of moving your body in a biomechanically sound way, okay? So if you feel that your glutes are maybe switching off here, then that's your range. You're going to just train your squat in this range, and then eventually, hopefully, you'll be able to engage them a little bit deeper, okay? So that's the bodyweight squat. So the first variation that I'm going to teach you is the easiest. It's where you should start, okay? And that is, you're going to hold the mace in a under-over grip. So you are under by the mace ball and over on the other side. Okay. And from here, you are just going to hold the mace close to your sternum. Okay. If Mother Nature gifted you slightly more in the chest area, then you just need to kind of shimmy the mace up somewhere where it's comfortable for you. Okay. For me, I hold it roughly just kind of mid sternum. Okay. Now, you want to drive the elbows under as well. Hold the mace as close to your body as you possibly can. If you flare it out, then you're just going to load unnecessarily your upper body. That's not what we're doing. Okay. We are basically now with the simple mace squat, we're just testing if our squat technique can hold 4 kilo or how many ever pounds or kilos you are holding in your hand, loading. Okay. So hold it nice and close, elbows in, and you squat down with it. Okay. So you are just holding it as a dead weight. Okay. You're not doing any kind of fancy switches or any other movements. You are just going into a simple mace squat. Okay. And then you need to practice. You need to also engage your abs. Otherwise, this is going to happen and you're going to load the lower back. Okay. So just a basic mace squat here. So do a certain amount of repetitions that you want to do, and then you're going to switch the mace through a prayer position, and then you're going to go on the other side. Okay, because obviously the part of your body where you're holding the mace ball is going to be loaded a little bit more, but this is really good for us. And even loading on the core is really, really good. Okay, it just makes your body kind of work a little bit harder in stabilizing and balancing the weight. Okay, so just do a few on the other side as well. See how that feels. Again, hold it nice and close to the body, drive the elbows under. Okay, so this is the very basic mace squat. Actually, I'm going to teach you just a little other variation. It's the front load squat. This is where you can go next because it's just a little bit trickier, okay? And that is, we're going to do the same squat, but now we're going to hold the mace over, okay? It's harder. It's a lot more loading on the forearms and on the arms, okay? Now, it's absolutely crucial that now you're really driving the elbows under the mace. So you're almost like wrecking. You're putting the mace on a rack that you create with your arms, okay? It's challenging. Try how that goes. You will notice that just by simply switching the grip, immediately the exercise feels completely different, okay? So try a few here. Let me know in the comments if you've noticed the difference between normal squat and front load squat, okay? Just by switching the hand that's holding the mace ball, okay? You will notice it's significantly different. Well, it is for me anyway. It should be for you too. Switch. There's no fancy switches for over grip. And try a few repetitions on the other side, okay? So there was the simple mace squat and front load squat, okay? Now I'm going to teach you how to switch it. Big difference, right? It's amazing, isn't it? Just by switching your grip. It's incredible. That's what I love about the mace. It's so dynamic, it's so different, and you can, because the body really thrives on variation. We can't just be doing the same exercise over and over because you will just stop seeing results and stop growing. So just making little tiny switches, like going from this to this, it will just shock your body into growing stronger again, okay? All right. Let's run through the switch squat. So switch squat is this, okay? So now you've practiced the basic squat, and we're going to practice the switch, okay? So with the switch, it's called a prayer pose switch. The main rule about switching the mace is that you do not let go of the mace with either hand. You need to have both hands on the mace at all times. This might not be completely crucial when you are just having a 4 kilo or a 7 pound mace, but trust me, when I work with the 6, you want to have full control over the mace. Okay, so you go from here, you're going to start sliding up. This is called a prayer pose, yeah, for obvious reasons. And you don't want to do this too low. You want to do it roughly kind of in front of your face. And then you just slide and you are on the other side, okay? So just practice this for a little while. Don't rush it, okay? Don't get sloppy, don't rush it. When you get a little bit more, I've been training with this for 3 years, so my switch might be a little bit faster now, but it wasn't at the beginning, okay? You want to build the steps and make sure that you are not letting go, yeah? I see people sometimes do really sloppy things and they might get away with it on the light mace, but it's really good to learn these safety measures from the beginning, so then you don't have to find out the hard way that your switch is not as good, okay? At the beginning, you'll be kind of really separating the two movements, okay? So you will be going into your squat, then you stand up, and then you're going to pay attention to the switch, okay? Then you're going to squat again, switch. This is the tempo at the beginning, okay? Then you can slowly start maybe smoothing it out. Trust me when I tell you that this happens naturally just with repetitions and practice, okay? And then eventually you can kind of dynamically transition from side to side. The switch squat is phenomenal when you want a little bit more cardiovascular response, okay? Because obviously you're picking up the pace and it will shoot your heart rate up, okay? So any questions about the switch squat? You froze for a moment. Okay. Might be I'm outside, but I usually get pretty good Wi-Fi out here. Sorry about that if I froze. It might be better on the replay too. Okay, so we learned the basic mace squat, front load squat when we switch the grip from under over to over. And now we went into a switch squat. Okay. The next one I'm going to teach you is really advanced, and maybe just put it in your back pocket while you're still practicing the simple squats for a little bit later, okay? Because we're going to be adding a lot of core and upper body loading onto the squat, okay? And that is the bayonet squat. This is a bayonet squat. So you can see, if you try it, I can tell you that it's super challenging, and it took me a long time to master this movement, okay? And from experience, a lot of my clients found this one quite challenging, to the point that sometimes we need to practice thoracic rotations and thoracic loading in a rotation before we can go to the squat. So don't rush this, see how it feels for you, okay? But I'm just going to run you through it. You're going to start in a seatbelt position, under over grip, yeah? So seatbelt position, for obvious reasons, is here. It goes from shoulder to hip. This is the full seat belt, yeah? If you're switching, still switching through the prayer pose, seat belt, yeah? It's not here, it's not there. It's literally going hip to shoulder, seat belt. Think car seat belt, okay? So, from here, you're going to squat and you're going to transition the mace to be parallel to your leg. Okay. Now, what's vital is that from hips down, your squat doesn't change to a normal squat. So what I see a lot is this, or that kind of collapse in alignment of the squat. From hips down, your squat is the same. What happens here is you need to lock your core, and you just need to rotate just the thoracic spine. with a really packed shoulder. Yeah, you also don't want to kind of jerk the shoulder forward and let it load with the mace ball. Okay, it's super challenging. You can just reduce the range of motion and go just partly. Yeah, get used to moving a load under thoracic rotation. Both arms should be locked in the final position. Yeah, this will highlight any mobility restrictions you have in the thoracic spine. If you find that this is just impossible for you, then you need to pick up some mobility movements for thoracic spine. Okay, I have tons of videos. If that's you, just send me a message and I'll send you some. Okay, so this is where you are. Watch the legs that they don't collapse. Okay, and you're moving it to the opposite knee. Okay, obviously you can't quite move it to the same one, but I thought I'll just point that out. Yeah, so lock the lats, engage the abs, squeeze the glutes, rotate. Yeah, or go partially. Just learn the rotation and see if your core can support the rotation without hurting your lower back. This has got a great potential to really load and upset your lower back. Yeah, and then obviously switch. One side might feel a bit easier than the other. So this is the bayonet squat. It's a really fun one to add into flows. I've got some super fun flows in the program where you go from here to counter press and then start combining movements together, which is super fun. Okay, so bayonet squat, please proceed with caution on a bayonet squat. If you feel like you are really missing strength in a rotation, then start with some slightly simple movements. This is quite grunty. Okay, and the last one I'm going to teach you is a flag squat. Now, flag squat is phenomenal for core stability. Okay, so your core is everything apart from your legs and your arms. This might be news for a lot of people. When people talk about core, a lot of people think abs, but that's not the case. It is literally everything from here to here, all of this. Okay, the main function of your core is to protect your spine for obvious reasons. The spinal column and the vertebrae are quite fragile, and if you hurt them, it can have catastrophic consequences for you of being paralyzed. So what a lot of people don't understand, that the core has predominantly three main muscles. Yeah, that is obviously the abs, and it's the kind of the top abs, which is the six pack, but also the deep abs. Yeah, so if you kind of lean back, you can kind of feel the really deep abdominals in there. Then it's your glutes, and that's what a lot of people forget. They think that glutes are actually part of the leg. While it is also one of the probably the most important core muscle. If you have weak and underactive glutes, you are most likely getting some wicked pain in the lower back, or you hurt your back every time you do something like lift something heavy or deadlifts. I used to, a while back, deadlift phenomenal weight at the gym a few years ago, but it gave me tender back for quite a few days. So clearly I wasn't able in those days, although I lifted 1.5 of my body weight, I wasn't able to engage properly either my lower abs or probably my glutes. Okay, so if every time you do some heavy gardening or lifting heavy things, and you get upset lower back, chances are that it is your glutes. Okay, and the third muscle group is your back muscles. Yeah, for obvious reasons. So you need to condition those. So the flag squat conditions the stability. So what's the difference between strength and stability? There's a little bit of a crossover, but strength is why you're kind of moving your muscles, and stability is when you're just engaging muscles while you're moving something else. Okay, so for example, the push-up is the prime example. When you're doing a push-up, I'm just going to do it here, I'm not going to get on the floor. When you're doing the push-up, you need to stabilize your core while you're doing a push-up. Yeah. So you are creating stability in your core. And this is what you're going to condition on the flex squat. At the beginning, I suggest that you choke the mace. Yeah. So choking the mace means that rather than holding it here, you're going to hold it slightly kind of halfway up or even closer to the mace ball. The closer you grip the mace to the mace ball, grip your hands closer to the mace ball, the easier it will be. All right. So, whoops. It is a little bit breezy. The wind is just picking up here. All right. So, choke the mace, whatever you can. Start somewhere conservatively, yeah, or halfway. From here, you're going to really pack the shoulders down, feeling the engagement in your lats, yeah, the muscle here. Then you're going to engage the abs and squeeze, really turn the glutes on. And from here, elbows to the ribs, squat. Come back up, okay? Try a few repetitions. See how you go. Then you can just place the mace on your shoulder, switch your grip, and try the other way. Okay, so that's kind of level 1. Obviously, the more down the mace you travel, the harder it is going to be. Also, the more you straighten your arms, obviously with perfectly engaged shoulders, the more difficult it will be. Yeah, the demand on the core, it's going to be huge. So that's kind of how you can incrementally increase the difficulty of the movement. Yeah, so going from this to this. Okay, obviously the full extension is hard and you need to angle the mace ball a little bit towards you, yeah, so it doesn't kind of fall the other way. You need to be able to really engage the lats, okay? And that is the flex squat, okay? Lots of variations for you to just play around with. Even with the most basic one, you will notice that it's difficult, okay? Any questions, my loves? Any questions? So we ran through more than 4. I promised you 4, but I've given you a lot more. We went through I've just run through them real quick. Through the simple mace squat. Then we went through the front load where we switched. Then we went through the switch, yeah. Then we did our bayonet squat, yeah. And then we went into many, many variations of the flex squat. Okay, so you've got lots and lots and lots to practice. If you have any questions, send them my way. If you are watching on the replay and you have questions, something doesn't feel quite right, or you want to clarify something, you want to send me a video of you performing any of these squats, I'm happy to give you feedback, okay? So I'm just going to wait a few secs. Flex squat is surprisingly tricky. Yes. Yes. Unsurprisingly, I would say. Yeah, that's to hold a meter stick with a 4-kilo ball at the end of it while you're squatting, it's super, super challenging. It's about arm strength. Yeah. Yeah, it does get wobbly. Yeah, it does get wobbly. And that's why when you're first going, even if you're going to the full extension and you want to practice that after a little while, you really need to engage the back muscles and choke it. Choke it at the beginning, okay? So at the beginning, you are here, yeah? And you're traveling down the mace and you're practicing. It's going really well. So then you're going to choke it again and go out a little bit, yeah? So now I'm not in the full extension of the arms. I'm still a little bit bent, but it's more challenging because no longer I'm stabilizing the elbows towards the ribs. I'm a little bit out. Then I'm going to go out yet again, and then I can try the full extension with the mace choked first, and then slowly start unchoking it. Okay, so it's kind of like 2 steps forwards, 1 step back. Yeah, you can't just go from into the full extension straight off. It's good just to practice it, because if it's wobbly, it can actually really injure your wrist, or it can fall out of your hand and hit you on the face or on the shoulder. Yeah, so be really cautious and just do it nice and slow. Just, I know it looks badass, it looks great, but you just need to take it step by step, okay? Yeah, it will be challenging when you hold the real mace. Absolutely. Awesome, my loves. If you've got any more questions, just keep them coming. Oh, my mate has snuck up on me. Keep the questions coming. Happy to review any form as well. If you want to send me a video, please do. And yeah, keep practicing squats. They are super fun. They will tone your core, tone your legs, tone your glutes, and you will become a strong, badass warrior. So thank you so much for joining me live. Have a beautiful day or afternoon or night, wherever in the world you are. Sending you lots of sunshine and warmth. And I will see you next week for some more amazing Mace training. Mwah. Bye.